Hello, hello, hello. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right, let me make sure I have audio here. Just to make sure. Testing, testing, testing. Might turn that up a little bit. There we go. All right. I figured we had some people that liked the album, and thank you to everyone that watched and listened and commented. I really appreciate it. I figured I'd give a little playthrough or a little work through of kind of how I made the album and kind of what it takes to go into all that. So we're just going to start here. Let me get this going. Oh, is my screen bugged out? One second. That's better. Okay. So this is what a basic file looks like for me. It is pretty much just a whole bunch of random stuff that ends up sounding like metal music. We start here. I'm just going to play this through first so everyone can kind of see what it looks like. Boom. Yo, what's up, Josh? What's going on? Just doing a little walkthrough of some of the songs in the album. I figured it'd be kind of cool to have some documentation of that. So let's just jump right into it. I can stop this. Thank you, sir. So when I was writing this, I mostly wanted to keep like that bass metal sound pretty close to home. I know it would be very easy to overproduce something like this and make it sound really fake and just really electronic, and I didn't want that. I wanted something that was going to be that was sticking close to like that metalcore or like early 2000s metal sound, and then would integrate in a lot of the aspects of EDM, dubstep, synthwave that I like. And I think that to an extent I did that pretty well. I did it how I wanted to, at least. So I would say the beginning of any great metal song and any great metal mix is going to be the guitar tone. So I'm just going to run through how I built my guitar tone first, because I think it's interesting. Let me clean up here. There's a lot of stuff on here. Okay, I'm just going to double this up. So for this album, I used a virtual amp called Amp Roots, and this is free. I have since bought the full version of it, but it was written on the free version for the album. And the DI just sounds like this. You run that straight into the amp sim. It sounds like that. We run it up into this group, so I double all of my guitar tracks and I send them left and right. So I just basically play them through twice. That's pretty standard for all metal. And then I've got this big effects chain here that is basically just processing the guitars to sound better, sharper, and you can hear the difference with it off. And if I turn it on, sounds like that. I'm going to undo all my changes. So there we go. Oh, we're freezing up. So yeah, that's my guitar tone. It's very like early 2000s. I'm a huge Killswitch Engage guy, huge Counterparts guy. So I didn't want to stray too far from that. I wanted to kind of stay close to home on those and then introduce the elements that I like. I'm going to wait for this to not freeze up. I think I went back too far. Oh, Trevor's here too. What's up, Trevor? Next, we have bass tone. So as much as guitars sound really good on their own, if you don't have like a very good bass sound in metal, I think that your mix is probably not going to sound very good. I struggle a lot with bass tone. Can I turn the volume up? Yeah. Is this better? Is that better? Oh, my talking is quiet. There we go. Okay. So next we got bass tone, and basically what I was doing for this is I have two different channels. I'm running my bass tone into one channel, and then I split it into two. I have a clean channel, which is basically just the bottom end of the bass. If you don't have a sub, or if you're just listening on a phone, you might not be able to hear that, but really it's just like those really low end frequencies that you're not going to hear that much. And the point of that is that if you're running it through a sub, if you're running through any kind of big system, you're not going to distort the hell out of all your sub frequencies, anything that's under like 120 hertz. So then everything else gets cut off and goes into this amp tone. And then combine those two, you get the bottom end, you get the cleanness of the bottom end, and then you get the crunchiness of the top end. And it might not sound like much, but through a bigger system, it'll sound good. After that, we got our drums here. I use this VST called Perfect Drums. I'd love to do live drums at some point in the future, but currently that's a very difficult thing to do. So this is called Perfect Drums, and basically I worked with my dad and my brother Dave to kind of get a good drum sound and came up with this. And this is all controlled by MIDI, so it's just MIDI notes here. So if we look here, we've got new drums, and this is how this is played. Again, I would like to have live drums in the future, but right now that wasn't really possible. Processing drums, I basically process this just as if it was a real kit. So I took all the mics, the virtual mics that come out of this Perfect Drums kit, and I threw them through their own channels. So kick's got its own channel. I'm saturating it a little bit, and I'm bringing some hi-hat end out on it, but that's about it. Snare's got its own channel. Same thing, just saturation and a little bit of compression on it. Overheads and room mics. It's really just emulating as if you were using a kit, and then I routed all of those into these dry wet. So I've got my mics here, or my dry mics. It's really kick and snare, and then anything that would be an overhead, and those go directly into the drum mix here, and they get processed all together. Yeah, and that makes a full drum mix. And the last part of this song that is, I would say, is pretty cool to look at would be this lead here. I have it named Stab Chords, and this is kind of where I come from in terms of music production, is EDM and electronic stuff. So this is where I felt like I had the most ability to be creative. And these sound like this. One does that, and one does this. Like that. Trying to get my keyboard on. And I use a trick here for these. So these are just synths. They play like this. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using one track, and I am controlling two synths at once. I throw one all the way to the left, and I throw one all the way to the right. So if I play just the left one, if you're using headphones, so hear it in your left. And if I play just the right one, you hear it just from the right. And if I play them together, they get thrown left and right. And my trick is that I take a chorus, and I'll use the same chorus on both, and then I'll just barely alter them a little bit so they sound super wide when they're played together. And it leaves a ton of room in the mix for vocals and whatever you want in the middle, so you're not taking up all your mix space in the middle, and you're kind of throwing everything to the side and making it sound wider, which inevitably makes it sound bigger anyway, and then it ends up sounding like this. And last but not least, we have vocal chain. I would say vocals are probably the thing that I struggle the most with to do well, mostly because they're really hard. But dry vocal mix, not in the mix, just sounds like this. I've lost my mind. The creator's taken over me. I can't just hide. If I'm not to be complete. So not a ton of tracks, just again spreading things out left and right. So any words that I want to have enunciated more and to have more oomph behind them, I'm going to throw left and right, and I'm going to track 3 times basically. Who's Dave? Oh, we got a few people in here now. What's going on, Nick? What's going on, Darren and Nikki? What's going on? Nice to see everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And Joanna, thank you. I enjoyed very much how your album incorporated that techie sound. Thank you very much. The techie sound is mostly where I come from for production. I picked up guitar a little over a year ago, and I'd played bass forever, so it wasn't totally foreign, but that was not where I was comfortable. And obviously vocals, in no way was I comfortable, and I've been doing that for about a year as well. So the techie stuff is kind of like where I live in terms of music. Other than that, for this song, really, I utilized a little clean tone here. It's basically playing the exact same riff, drenched in reverb. Actually, I was utilizing clean tones early when I was writing the album, and then I found I started going away from it. I don't really know why. I think I just kind of found the sound I wanted more. I wrote this song really early on. So yeah, that is the mix for this song. If you listen to it all together for the chorus. What was inspiration for my album Final Mile, Bruised Not Broken? Yes, I would say Final Mile was my biggest inspiration for the album. No, I would say my biggest inspiration for the album, the name The Gray in general is pretty purposeful. I would say most of the themes of the lyrics are pretty dark, and they're very much around the idea of claiming back headspace from basically like all the distraction that you could have nowadays and trying to get away from that. It's something I've always struggled with, is feeling like no matter what you do now, you're basically, something is always vying for your attention or trying to take you away from thinking about things that are important and contemplating things that are important. And that's something that is really important to me. So the more that gets taken away, even voluntarily, with, you know, algorithms and endless scrolling and all that, I find the more unhappy I am. So this album is really about me expressing how the gray, as I would call it, is kind of that white noise of just endless slop that could get thrown at you, and that could constantly be stopping you from actually doing anything important. And that's basically what the theme of the album is to kind of try to get rid of that as much as possible. If that answers your question, Mariah. So moving on, one of my other favorite songs on this album is Stasis. And I love this song because I think it incorporates the synths the best that I have. So let's listen to it a little bit, and then we can break it down.
I see that part of me must die. I see that part of me must die. You pull me in, but this time I came for you. You pull me under, but I came for you. Each time I look at the miles ahead, I still can feel the convince me to friend. Each time I face down the ones inside, I say a part of me must die.
So yeah, this is Stasis. I'm gonna bring the lyrics up for this, actually. Be interesting to look at them while we're looking at songs. I think I have it here. There we go. Yeah, this song was very much about just cutting off things that are not optimal, or cutting things out of your life that you know are doing no good for you, even if you want them there. So the thing I emphasize a lot is I see that part of me must die. And basically I'm just saying, like, sometimes when you have to move on from something, you just have to cut it off, as cliche as that sounds. But sometimes you just got to cut it off instead of just saying, I'm going to stop doing that. You need to violently get rid of stuff. You need to purge. You need to kill off part of yourself in order to move on. And the song's definitely talking about that. It's named Stasis because of that, basically to say like stasis being just staying in one place. My favorite part about the song is the synths. Again, there are two versions of the synths that play that lead hook. I did play this on the keyboard, but it looks so perfect because I made it perfect after. I got my keyboard right here. Oh, and it's not playing, of course. There. Really dumb question. Is that you playing the drums or is it creating the program? No, it's not me playing the drums. It is, yeah, it's a virtual instrument. So drums are right here. And drums are just controlled by MIDI, so they're just controlled through notes right here. I had help from drummers that I know, as in my dad and Dave, for writing drum parts and processing drums in general. But no, they're not played technically. I was saying before, I hope someday or whatever I release next, I'll be able to get live drums, but recording and performing and getting drums to sound really good in a mix is extremely hard. So that wasn't something I was trying to do right here when I was already learning the guitar and learning vocals. So I get to the synth. It's basically the same exact thing I'm doing where I'm throwing it left and right. I am putting an effect on both sides and then changing it just a little bit. And that way you get that really separate sound. I love this synth. This is probably my favorite synth sound I've made. It is just a saw wave. Let me just grab one. So just a saw wave here. Or three of them. And they're detuned a little bit. If you turn the tuning down, they sound right. About right there. And then there's also 4 square waves. And those are an octave lower. And those are a little detuned as well. Put those together, you get this nice bright sound. I really like saw waves an octave up and square waves an octave down. And you get really full sound. And then if you do that twice, go left and right, and then pan them, they sound like this. And then this synth, when the chorus kicks in, actually switches into a different one, and it just becomes a little more thin. It's just to make room for the guitars. So you can see when that kicks in. So that's kind of a trick of leading with a really full synth and then going into a much more simple version, but you almost hear the full version after the guitars come in because you're so used to the full version, even if it's not there. Makes a ton of room in the mix and makes it so that you can actually hear the guitars. That's something I've been doing for a while. Same bass, same guitars here. Same bass. Same vocal chain. Then just, I don't think I have any effects on this. I've got a little sound here. I don't even know what this is, to be honest. I think this is a different project I'm working on. Just processed the hell out of it and then reversed it. Just to give you a little noise. Am I a Dayseeker or a Dreamwake guy? I'm a huge Dayseeker guy. I don't know that much Dreamwake, although I liked them when I heard them. But yeah, big Dayseeker guy. That's they're definitely an inspiration for the synths and kind of thinking of writing like this. I just wish I could sing like Rory. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. All right, well, let's move on. We're going to go to the end because I know that is my buddy Foster's favorite song. And I'm trying to remember what I named it. The problem with some of these is that I name them way before I name the files, way before I actually name the songs, because I haven't written the lyrics yet, so they're impossible to find. Thank you for joining, people. I really appreciate it. I wasn't sure if I'd get anyone. Yeah, I think we all wish we sang like Rory. That is very true. I think that even most metal vocalists now in popular metal bands wish they sang like him. So this is the end once it loads up. I'm not a big metal fan, but I love the double bass sounds and how well music is mixed. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the non-metal people coming in and saying hi too. That's I know that metal is not everyone's music. All right. So this is kind of this was like the biggest synth that I built, and I built this pretty early on. And that is the synth for the start of the end. Let me turn it up. All right, before we get into the song, let's even Tulip is enjoying it. Her ears are very perked up. Now we're talking. See, she's a smart dog. That's the thing. So, this synth here is I was messing around producing synthwave, and I came up with this synth, and then I was like, that sounds more like something I'd put in metal. It's very harsh. So I'm trying to figure out kind of what's going on here because it's been a while. We got this synth. It's like a really, really sharp pad, and based off of looking at it, it's actually. Oh, where am I panning this? Oh, I'm panning it in silence. Okay. This is actually about as simple as it gets for synths. This is same, just one voice of saw and one voice of square. So if I take the square away, it'll just be kind of thin. And if I play just a square, it'll be a little low. Or not on. Well, in that case. Is this where I learned to pass guard? No, I would not come here for jiu-jitsu advice. I think this is about the worst place you could come from a zero stripe blue belt. I think this is where you come if you want to beat someone up. All right, let me get these changes back out of here. Something's different here. So this synth has two layers. It's got the regular layer, and then it's got this little, I don't know what to call it, above it. It's kind of like an interstellar kind of pad sound. I don't know. Just playing a little arpeggio. If you put it on top. And so what makes this one kind of interesting is that the louder you push this sound, the more it starts to kind of crumble apart. So this is drive button that I built. See if I turn it off. It's very clean and it's very easy to listen to. And if I turn this up, it starts like destroying itself. Basically, if you put it about halfway, if you play one note with it, you're going to get a nice clean tone. But if you play a whole bunch of notes with it, it gets loud enough it starts crunching in on itself. So, kind of cool. This is one of the only songs I actually used a guitar lead, which is here.
Once again, I cannot win. Once again, I've reached.
This is my best Killswitch Engage guitar lead tone I think I could come up with.
I cannot win.
Just right here.
Once again, I've reached the end. And in this moment, I say I try to remind myself of what's inside. I choose to get up on sedation side. It's like the light that lies inside. My conscience speaks of what is filled within. To run away is to end up giving in. You cowards, you leave me all alone. You go with me this time, go with her in this zone.
This is actually one of my favorite things I built. It's really simple, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work to go from this back to this. So I just killed the sound and I reversed that first chord, and then I basically just like bounced it in here. And it actually worked. It just kind of leads it back into it.
Once again, I've reached the end. And in this moment, I say I try to remind myself of what's inside. I choose to get up on sedation side. It's like the light that lies inside. You hold me down and leave me when I need you lost. You break down everything until I'm all alone. I feel you everywhere until I feel this hope. That you think only is a darkness I let go.
So yeah, that's the end. I forgot I had the synth on the end part. Kind of cool. The ending breakdown, basically all I did was played one string and then I pitched my guitar down an octave virtually. It sounds dumb, but it's cool. Which I think is like the epitome of writing metal now. It's like the dumbest we can make this sound, or the dumber the better, I guess. So yeah, those are some of the songs. I figured I'd just do a little run through. I don't know if anyone else has songs they want to see a breakdown on. I know people liked In Time. I can go through In Time. Oh, I'll plug my Instagram now. I do actually plan on posting to socials and trying somewhat to have a social media presence. It's not something I do very well. So if you're watching and you want to follow along, 2 things you can do. Subscribe to me on Instagram, do more music. There's not a lot right now, but there will be more. Give me a live Knocked Loose vocal cover. I actually did a vocal one take today. It's why my voice is a little bit trashed, because I messed it up twice, and then on my third run through, I'm freaking trying to just keep my voice together enough to get it done. But I did get it done. I think I wouldn't be able to talk for a week if I tried to sound like Knocked Loose. So yeah, subscribe to me on Instagram or YouTube. Either one. If you want to see more. You could be my 5th follower, so. All right, let me get the Facebook chat back up. I just closed it by accident. Where is it? Okay, whatever. I don't have it up right now. But you like the breakdown at the end? Thank you. I appreciate that. The breakdown is, I hope to do more like that. I think one of the biggest, not complaints, but one of the biggest comments I got on it was that there weren't enough breakdowns. So that has been taken into my mind, and I guarantee you there will be more breakdowns in the future. Yeah, I am live on Facebook too, Josh. Okay, here's In Time. Josh, ignore the Knocked Loose track at the top.
Stretch me love by love, crush me with the weight of the world. Stretch me love by love, to begin what has already severed me with it. We reach, we seek, what cannot be found. We strive, we bury ourselves in the ground. Choose this way to know that I'll die running to like grace. Not just to pick up my cross this time. I give you everything until I die. All unrighteous in the shadows of what I have left to give. You take my rest wherever my life's given.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. Yeah, so this is In Time. This is one of my favorites, mostly because I think I got to put in everything that I wanted to, and it kind of, the sound of how I want to do more of the sound comes through in this song. Pretty much as I expected it would. This is one of the later songs that I wrote, so I think I just got better at writing as I went on. These intro sounds are kind of it's the start of me bringing in a really, really heavy synthwave influence from the synthwave project that I'm working on and then incorporating it into the metal. So basically we're just bringing in, let me see. I'm going to get rid of the reverb for now. And that. The same exact thing here where I'm doubling it, making it super wide, and I think I'm doing the same thing. I'm stacking, a saw wave on top of a square wave. Pretty typical for me. And then got a bass going. We got synthwave drums. Synthwave drum, like making synthwave drum sounds is kind of a hobby of mine, as bad as that sounds. Poor Mariah. But I love making synthwave drums. I love making electric drums like this. So I was really happy I got to put it in the album. And then we've got some like funky bass. All together. And then I just faded it in. Then we go right back and we go into probably my favorite sound that I've made, which is this. Oops. And this is just a gnarly sound I made in a synth called Vital. And it is actually just a whole bunch of saw voices. But it is distorted to hell and it's bit reduced so that a whole bunch of the data that comes in the top hertz of this sound just basically get cut off and get sent everywhere. And this leads us into the opening riff. Into the opening riff. And that sounds basically just playing over the guitars. And then we go into my favorite riff on the album, which is this. That leads into a bridge riff. And that also leads into this sound, which seems to be a fan favorite. All this is it's called the AutoPan tool, but you can use it to basically automate frequency at a certain rate, and then I'm just dipping that rate down through automation like this. And you watch that go down. And just turn it off for the chorus. I think this is like the most traditional breakdown that I did in the album right here. Again, finally fitting in the stuff I really wanted to do. I think my guitar playing ability, my vocal ability, and just my ability to write metal got to a point where I can make something like that really work. Whereas before, if I had just relied on like a super 000 breakdown, it would have been the only thing the song had going for it, and then it wouldn't have as much impact if that's the thing you're there to listen for. But if you're there to listen for all this other stuff that's a little more original, a little more has its own sound, then when you bring in the big breakdown, that's what everyone's basically there for anyway, and it hits a lot harder. Foster says, please talk about your songwriting. Ooh. I don't really know what to say about that. I think that kind of what I just said is actually pretty true in terms of learning to songwrite, which is that you have to balance what people want to hear, what you want to hear yourself, and basically what you want to be expressing. And if you lean too much into any of those, you're probably going to get something that doesn't sound very good. But if you can strike a balance of what you really want to hear, what you really want to express first, and then you can say, would anyone actually want to listen to this? Which is probably a yes. You can really start creating something that's very original and has your own sound to it, in my opinion. I think that if you're starting from a point of, I want to write something that other people want to listen to, you're almost always destined to fail because you're not considering what you want to be writing, and you're most definitely not considering what you want to be expressing. And if you're not thinking about that, you're not truly writing it to express something, which I think is the base of music. You're just writing it to have it heard. And usually the songs that are written that way, I at least would like to believe that I could usually tell when that is the case. And that's not to hate on anyone that does write like that. I think there are many good bands that probably do that, but it's just not my cup of tea to be doing that. So I really like starting from a place of expression first. And for me, I've never been a vocalist, so I didn't actually start from expressing myself vocally. I very much start from expressing myself through piano playing, through guitar playing, and through production in general. And I think that's something that I was able to capture with the album pretty well, was getting the emotion and what I wanted to say out through the production and through the parts being played on the instruments. And then when you layer on the vocals, all of a sudden it comes together really well. Just because I wasn't a vocalist first. So I think that did actually work out for me quite a bit. But I have a long way to go with that still, obviously. And I have a lot that I'm learning in terms of putting out what I want to put out, writing what I want to write, and actually creating the sound that may be in my head, or actually expressing the thing that I'm thinking about at the time. It's something that I need to get better at, and I'm continually trying to get better at. I don't know if that answers your question, Foster, but that's, for songwriting, that's how I would approach it. I would start from expression and from what do I want to hear, and then definitely ask the question of what do other people want to hear. Like, I think of my brother Josh. I know he's going to want to hear a Boundaries type breakdown, at least once every other song on the album, and he's definitely right. It should be there for music like this. I would be probably less inclined to be writing a ton of breakdowns, but I know that other people love breakdowns. I mean, and I do too. But sometimes I would throw those in there just to kind of push the envelope on that. And then the funny thing is, once you start doing that, or once I started doing that, I found out like it really was usually the right thing to do, and it was more so what I wanted to hear anyway, but I just couldn't have thought of it that way. So going into someone else's head, like let's say my brother Josh, and saying what would he want to hear at this part, often would get me back to what I actually wanted to hear, which is kind of funny. I'm gassing Josh up too much. So yeah, this is In Time. Again, I got to do a lot of what I wanted to do in this song for the album, which is like have a sweet synthwave bridge right here. I really wanted to have one song where you thought another breakdown was coming, and then it went into like just like a really groovy synthwave part. So I was happy I was able to do that, and then I also was happy as I was able to work that into a surprise breakdown. My one of my proudest moments was when I was showing this to Mariah for the first time, and this part came on, and she goes, "That was a really good song," and I was like, I did exactly what I wanted there because there's a surprise breakdown coming, which is really fun. And we got the breakdown. So yeah, that's most of the album. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I don't want to take up everyone's time too much, so I'll probably call it a night there, but I really appreciate people coming in and stopping by. It means a lot. I am hoping to do live streams more. Obviously, my son is probably going to be born within the next week or so. So I'm going to be a little busy with that, and that is a very good thing to be busy with. But once I'm on a good schedule, I think Monday nights will probably be my stream nights, and I'll do a lot of stuff. I'll have some interactive stuff, and I will have some just like songwriting and or interacting with people in chat and thinking of stuff. So thank you everyone for hanging around. I appreciate it. Josh said, send me some vocals to do practice. Yeah, obviously. Josh, I'll send you some vocals and and I don't know what that is now. It's funny though. Okay. Thank you for people for listening. I appreciate it. And keep streaming the album if you like it. There is much more Doom Warden to come for sure. I have subscribed to the YouTube channel, Instagram. I have a ton of stuff that's coming. I got some vocal one takes. I got one done already. I've already got a guitar one take done. So a more performative side, and I'm hoping to do some alternate versions and even some music videos in the future. So that'll be fun. Anyway, thank you everybody. See you later.